Omid,
it's great. It's great here.
It is a shame. Someone who's been associated with the club from a 6-year-old now leaving. Don't get me wrong, he's going to another massive club. But are you sad to see him leave?
Well, extremely, and especially last week I was with Daniel Finkelstein, who's on the board at Chelsea, and the first thing I asked him is Mason Mount staying? And he goes, well, we're hoping he's going to stay, and it's looking good. And I got a text from you guys yesterday. Would you like to come on and talk about Mason Mount? And I was absolutely gutted. I said no because I'm too upset.
Yeah.
And it is because, as Jason said, we've watched his career develop. We've been talking about him being the next Frank Lampard. We've talked about him being potentially Chelsea captain, and he really has developed into a fine young man and a fine footballer, and one of those players who he has end product. If you look at that pass in the Champions League final in 2021, he's always been there. He's scored great goals. So yeah, I'm gutted, but also on the one hand, I'm also relieved.
Have you met the manager yet? You'll love him. He's a lovely man, Pochettino.
What's he like? No, I've never met him.
Lovely man.
Well, I asked Daniel about him, and he said, "Yeah, we're completely behind. We're very happy with him, and he's settling in." And interestingly, I did ask him. I said, "Has he met the players?" He said, "Yes, he's come down." I said, "Because Antonio Conte, I did not know when he came on in 2016. We saw him. I saw him first at the Euros in 2016, but apparently he had come to the Cobham training ground and met the players in the April before. So." I love the fact that he's already settling in and getting to know the players. Although I have to say, we knew there was going to be a clear out at Chelsea. But the first two players I'm hearing about is Kovačić and Mount going, who I would say were on the top of the list of keeping at Chelsea. So
wow.
As Chelsea fans, we're very upset. Yeah, sure, there'll be players you'd have to get rid of. There's so many players in the squad, but you don't. I hope I speak for Chelsea fans. And Mount and Kovačić were not on that list, so I'm pretty annoyed.
I was just about to say that to you, Omid. I mean, Kovačić was certainly easy the best player last season. When I was at Chelsea quite a few occasions, Stamford Bridge, and he run the show in midfield. He was the one who really trying to make things happen. So I'm surprised as well. Sometimes you can't stand in players' ways. Whether they was too late doing a deal for Mason Mount and didn't get the offer over to him quick enough, or maybe just said, look, I want to just try somewhere different. But yeah, I'm totally with you on that. But you've got to be excited because you can't get much worse than last season, can you? I mean, Pochettino will look at it and say we can't get much worse. We just got to get a bit more of a team ethic. When I saw Chelsea, lots of individuals, but no team ethic. So I think that's where Pochettino will be working his magic, trying to get a team ready.
I think so, and I think if you remember when Conte came, Chelsea had a terrible season, finished 10th the year before, and something changed at Chelsea. There was an attitude. If you remember, I don't think many new players came in. I think he moved Victor Moses to white wing back, and we pretty much won the league with the same players, because that's the way Conte was all about systems. He'd learned from Marcello Lippi, just have your system and fit the players in. So I hope that something happens similar at Chelsea, but also at the same time, Finkelstein did say that when Mount, it's not really up to Mount, it's Mount's dad. It's Mount's dad who's calling the shots. So for Chelsea fans out there, I hope that Chelsea fans lay off Mason Mount online and don't give him too much hate, because I don't think it's really fully in his hands. And I'd just like to tell you a little story. Can I just tell you, have we got time?
Oh, yes, of course.
When I said, as part of me is relieved, I kind of say, I want to say from a personal reason, good riddance, Mason Mount, because he said something to me in 2017, which has really stuck with me. Chelsea had won the league, and I was asked to do some comedy for the end. There was an end of season thing, and Jeremy Vine was emceeing, and I was doing comedy, and Mason Mount was there, and I knew that I was gonna present him with his Young Player of the Year. And I was doing all kinds of Chelsea-specific jokes, like, Azpilicueta has played every game this season, but he hasn't sold a single shirt, because a Chelsea shirt is 60 quid, but with Azpilicueta on the back, it's 550. Lots of jokes, things that I've always dreamed about doing a gig for Chelsea players, but I look at the international squad, there's not a single word of English spoken between them, but enough about Gary Cahill. There was all kinds of jokes like that, and even Ray Wilkins said to me that was brilliant, we never had that before. And then even when I came to present Mason Mount with his Young Player of the Year, I said, Mason, you are 17 years old. I predict that you're going to be a next Chelsea legend. You will captain Chelsea, which he then did about 4 or 5 years later. And I give you this with pride. I've watched you from the very beginning, and I'm so proud of you. And he looked at me, he went, "Is you Stavros Flatley?" And I thought, you know what? That's it. He's got to go. He's got to go. I don't want him here.
Oh, but just before we talk about your charity gig, Kai Havertz, where do you think his best position is, please?
Well, we thought Havertz was an attacking midfielder. I thought he was a number 10 when he came. Another thing on Havertz as well, from what I hear from the inside, is as soon as Tuchel went, something changed in him as well. I think Thomas Tuchel went in a very surprising. I don't know if the rumours are true. There was lots of stuff online that he'd gone out for dinner with Todd Boehly, and Todd Boehly was asking about formations. He goes, "Yeah, we're going to probably play 4-3-3," and Boehly said, "Have you thought about 4-4-3?" And which doesn't exist. And I think he talked about it at the training ground, and he was gone. And I think that probably affected Havertz. So we saw a very different Kai Havertz. Most Chelsea fans, every time he got the ball, there was a groan. So again, another player that we think, good, he's gone. But, he's a great player. And he's, again, one of those players who has end product. He'll do extremely well. I think he's at Arsenal now. And it's another thing I thought that Pochettino would do is just get Kai Havertz back on. Something went with his head. We saw that with Morata. When Morata was at Chelsea, he did really, really well. And people don't realise Morata's best friend died in a motorcycle accident. And then Morata changed. And I think something's happened with Kai Havertz. But I really thought that Pochettino would change things. So I would think, I don't think he's been brought in to Arsenal to play up front. I think he'll play just behind. I think that's he's a number 10, that guy, and he's got great feet. So that's my answer. A number 10, not a striker. Okay,
Omid, you do a lot for charity. What's your upcoming charity gig? Whereabouts and what's that about?
Yeah, there's a great, would you believe, beer festival. I'm doing a beer festival it's a charity gig in Hastings on the 6th of July. And it's going to be, we're doing it for all kinds of charities, like, charities for the blind, but come along. It's a fantastic open air event. And there's a comedy tent, and that's on the 6th of July in Hastings. I've just done a little post about it on Twitter. So follow me on Twitter at Omid9, and there's a video telling all about it.
Have you had a chance to get down Aldeburgh, Southwold yet, down the coast?
I have. It's beautiful. Do you know what? Honestly, after I spoke to you, when we moved up to Ipswich, and you told me that it's a wonderful place, and do you know what? I'll tell you this, Alan, is a lot of your old team from the 70s and 80s still live in the area.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't left. People like, George. I see George Burley walking his dog all the time.
He's around the park, isn't he? Christchurch Park.
It's Christchurch Park. I see everyone. And it really is a wonderful area. And I'm very proud of the people of Ipswich. We did a Turkey-Syria earthquake benefit. And the people came out in force. We raised a lot of money. And everyone's saying, Ipswich is a bit, they don't like foreigners. They do. This place is the city of sanctuary. I'm extremely proud of them. It's a very multicultural area. And well done, the people of Ipswich. We raised so much money for earthquake victims. And you'd think that people have forgotten about the earthquake, but that was the worst earthquake that's ever hit. 61,000 people killed. And Tamer Hassan was there, said that's actually, they're not even telling you. It's probably 5 times that, and they're not saying it. So, but we had a text. If you go on my Twitter and my Instagram, there's a text number. People can still donate. So I was very proud of the people of Ipswich, and it's no surprise you're still living in the area.
Omid, get yourself down to Portman Road now and again. You'll really enjoy it. It's a friendly football club.
I've got to say, honestly, Kieran has done such an amazing job. That they are playing the proper football. Your legacy, Alan, they're playing that kind of football now, so it's fantastic.
Lovely. Omid, great to talk. Good luck down in Hastings. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Omid Djalili there.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.